Ladies and gentlemen, the age of the anti-hero has finally arrived in Nollywood. Welcome back to the channel, guys. And in this video, I want to talk about Netflix's latest Nigerian series titled Far From Home. And Far From Home is basically about a guy from a poor background that finds himself in a highly rated school, a school for rich people, basically here. And it follows his experience as he deals with it and as he struggles and the ups and downs of his life, and that's the basic premise of the whole movie. And I have to say, before I watched this movie, I was not expecting much of it. I know I was like, when there's a new Nigerian movie that interests me, I always want to check it out. And I wanted to check this movie out to see what it was all about, but I was not expecting much from it. But man, from the first episode, the pilot episode, I was like, wow. Like, that is how you make a pilot episode. That is how you make a show that people want to see. That first episode was so good. It established everything that you needed to know about the characters and the school and the life of the people, the life of the characters. And it was so well done. And I really appreciated that first episode. From that first episode, I was hooked. And there are a lot of things that I really loved about this movie. One of the things I loved the most was the main character. The main character is like an anti-hero, meaning it does questionable things. He's a kind of person that you might not necessarily get behind, but he also made the character likable. So even though he does some shitty things and does things that like makes you question who he is as a person, you can still get behind him and root for him because he's the hero, but he's the anti-hero. So I like that they made the main character a kind of anti-hero because he does a lot of shitty things. He betrays his friends and he does some things that a hero wouldn't do, only things that an anti-hero would do, and that was so good. And I feel like a lot of people in real life, in their real life, me, okay, don't let me speak for that people, but me, I feel like I'm an anti-hero because I do shitty things. Not that I'm proud of them, but I know I do shitty things. And just seeing a real character like that, seeing a real character that is not holier than thou, that is flawed and does shitty things, just like it resonated with me a lot. And I saw a little bit of myself in the main character, and that was so good. And I loved seeing it. Another thing I loved about this movie was the selection of the music. I've seen a lot of Nigerian movies, maybe not a lot, but I've seen Nigerian movies that they use the songs they select for it, songs they use for it are just used because those songs are songs that people know, songs that are highly rated, songs that are popular, but the songs don't really add anything to the scenes. But in this show, it's not like that. All the songs that they used, they were so perfect for the scenes. Like, the person that selected the song knew what he was doing, and they selected the appropriate songs for all the scenes. And when I just hear the song and I see it with the scene, man, I got goosebumps, and it just made the show so much better. And I fucking loved what they did with the movie, with the songs in the movie, in the show. The story is not completely original. Like, it feels reminiscent of Power Book 2. If you've seen Power Book 2, Power Book 2 is about the story of Tariq. Tariq is, okay, don't let me go into that. But it just felt reminiscent of Power Book 2. But me saying it's reminiscent of Power Book 2 does not mean it is completely based on it. It feels like it, but it is its own thing. It stands as its own thing. And like at a point, I just, the thought of it reminding me of Power Book 2 just left my mind. And it was just like, yes, this thing is its own thing. And it made me appreciate it more. Yes, it reminded me of Power Book 2, but it is not just that. Like, thinking about it now, you know, the Mexicans, or I don't know if they're Mexicans or Spanish, they were the first people to do Money Heist, but now the South Koreans or the Koreans have done their own version of Money Heist. It's something like that. Like, they have similar plots, but I feel like I've not seen the Korean version of Money Heist, but from the trailer I saw, the Korean version does not really feel like yes, they have similar elements, they have a lot of similar elements, but the Korean version of Money Heist stands as its own. And that is how this one feels like also. It might remind you of Power Book 2, but it also stands on its own, and it made me appreciate it a lot. And there were a lot of funny moments in this scene. Like, like I've said in my previous videos, when a showrunner, a movie or a filmmaker is not trying to be funny, but you just find the characters just find themselves in hilarious situations, that is the best kind of comedy for me. And the characters find themselves in situations that are funny and make me laugh. Like, it's not too funny, not that there are a lot of funny things because it's a drama. It's not too funny, but there are some funny things in it that stood out to me that I really enjoyed. And because they were not trying so hard to be funny, it made the comedy pop so much for me. The dialogue was not all that great, but it was not bad. The dialogue felt lazy. Yes, that's the word. It felt lazy to me because there's sometimes that characters will be saying something, and in my head I already know what the character was going to say. So I like when dialogue is able to surprise me with things that I was not even thinking about. And this dialogue, not that it is bad or anything, but it could have been better. Dialogue was a bit lazy to me, and I wish they had done something better. But I didn't really think much about the dialogue because of the acting. Oh my god, the acting in this show is amazing. There are some veteran actors in this movie. I don't want to talk about their performances because everyone expects these veteran actors to perform spectacularly well, and the veteran actors did their thing. But the new actors, the actors that were relatively unknown, most of them I did not know them, but I heard some of them have been in other they've been in other movies or other shows before, but most of them I did not know them. And their acting and their performance in this movie was so good. Like, I have to even mention some of them, some of the performances that stood out most to me. The main character, I don't know their real names, so I'll just use the names that they go by in the film. The main character, his name is Ishaya. His performance was so, it's like he carries the movie, and for him to have that weight on him and to bring such a good performance was so good to see, and he performed the character so well. There are some little things, some little nuances in his performances that made his performance even much more better, and I really appreciated his acting. Also, there's a character named Reggie. That guy is so cool. Like, the main reason why I mentioned him is because he's so cool. He embodied that character so well. He played the character of a cool guy so well. Like, I don't think I've seen a Nigerian actor play the role of a cool person as well as this guy played it. And it was like, wow, this guy is so effortlessly cool. And the guy's performance was so good. I wish the Reggie character, the guy that played Reggie, or Reggie as a character, I wish he had been prominent more in the film, but it wasn't. Speaking of another person that was not prominent much, Zina. She's not in much scenes. She has lines, yes, but she doesn't have as much lines as, she doesn't have as much scene as other characters. But the scenes that she's in, man, she owns it. Like, as if she just took the scenes for herself, and those scenes that she was in, she stole the show for me, and I really love that character. They said there are no small parts, only small people. And the actress that played Zina is not a small person. She had a small part, but she's not a small person. And she owned every scene that she was in. And it made me appreciate her performance so much more. Another person that stood out to me, I think it's the person's acting that I enjoyed the most. Not that I did not, like, I think I even enjoyed him more than I enjoyed the main character. And this guy is the guy that played Michael, a friend of the main character. Man, this guy's performance was so amazing. Every time this guy was on the scene, I just find myself just staring at him and just looking at, just watching what he wants to do next, because he was so enthralling to watch. He was so good in the performance, and he nailed everything he was in so much. Man, that guy needs to be in more shows, because what the guy did in this show was so fantastic, and I really appreciated him. Because I mentioned these 4 characters doesn't mean I didn't appreciate other characters' performance. No, but these were just people that stood out to me. But the whole cast, was fantastic. The casting was so good. They felt like real people. Like, they felt like they've been lived in. They don't feel like they're just actors that came to play a role. They feel lived in. Like, they really embodied the characters. And man, those guys, they were the stars of the show. They nailed it. All the young characters, all the younger actors, they were the best part of this movie. Like, I'm not saying the veteran actors were no good, but it's already expected that these veteran actors, there's a reason why they are veterans. So I didn't want to talk much about them, but these young actors, man, they stole the show from me, and so it made the show so good. There was also something I appreciated, the way they used language. They spoke English, Yoruba, and Pidgin, and the way it was just flowing, like the way they were switching from English to Yoruba. Some of the characters were switching from English to Yoruba. It felt genuine. It felt like how I talk as a person. Like, I don't always speak English. My Yoruba may not be very fluent, but I don't always speak English. Sometimes I speak English and I speak Yoruba. Like, in a sentence, I'll speak English, speak Yoruba, and speak Pidgin. And that was how the characters were communicating. And it felt so genuine. And I loved seeing it. And it made me appreciate the movie also so very well. And there's also something that I need to talk about. Something that I always see in a lot of Nigerian movies. Most Nigerian movies that I've seen, when there are some scenes that are shot in the public where there are a lot of people, where they can't control everything, you see some of the people that are in the background, They are not part of the film, yes, but you see them looking at the camera, and it just takes me out of the experience. But in this movie, there were some scenes like that where there were a lot of people in the scene, like a lot of people in the background. But I noticed that nobody was looking at the camera, and I don't see it a lot in Nigerian movies. So when I saw that, like, I really, really appreciated it. Maybe they've also seen the thing I also see, so they also like made efforts to make sure there was nobody looking at the camera. So I really, really appreciated that. And there were some cliffhanger moments that I feel like they did not fully utilize very well, because I think this is a Netflix issue, but I can easily overlook it, because there are some cliffhangers in this movie in this show that I felt like, oh my god, I don't need to see the next episode immediately. I also wanted to see the next episode immediately, but if I hadn't seen it immediately, it would have made those cliffhanger moments hit harder, and they didn't utilize them very well to me, and it was just like a missed opportunity for me, and I feel like they could have done better with it. But that is a Netflix issue. But aside from that, there were a lot of things in this movie that really stood out to me, and not everything was great about it, but the things that were good about it were so much more than the things that weren't good about it. And I so much love this movie, and I was hooked from beginning to end. Like, immediately I saw the pilot, I wanted to see the rest of it, and it was so good, and it didn't let me down. Okay, maybe the ending felt a bit rushed. I feel like it's another thing with Nigerian movies. They always feel the need to wrap everything up quickly and wrap everything up in a bow and give it to you. But I wish they didn't rush the ending. If they didn't rush the ending, it would have been so much better. But apart from that, this movie was so good. This show was so good, and it's honestly one of the best shows I have seen this year. Nigerian or non-Nigerian, it was honestly one of the best shows I have seen this year, and I really, really appreciated it. So guys, have you seen Far From Home? What did you think about it? Comment below and let me know. And if this is your first time on my channel, my guy, please subscribe to my channel for more contents like this. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Cheers.